How to shallow the shaft in the downswing. G'day golfers. Well, last week we talked about the slingshot golf swing and how it's so important to get the shaft in good position to get you on plane for maximum power output and consistency. But we didn't really talk about how to achieve this. So we're going to show you a drill that's going to help you identify where your downswing plane is. And then we're going to show you 4 different ways that the tour pros shallow that club in the downswing. And right at the end, we'd like to show you our take on what you should be working on to help you get that shaft in position. This is the plane check drill. Just need the one tour stick. Going to hold it along the golf club there. And this is all about just doing some dry runs, just to checking to see where your plane is. So set up to the golf ball and get an idea of where that stick is pointing in the backswing and the downswing. We're really primarily focused on the downswing here. You want the stick to be pointing at the golf ball in the downswing or just outside. With the takeaway, at the stick is fine, but it doesn't matter if you're a little inside, a little outside, as long as it's not wildly pointing out that way or wildly pointing in towards your toes. The downswing is where it's at. We really want to get that club shallower. If we get too steep in here and the stick is pointing to your toes, that's a real cause of loss of power and control. So just get that stick lined up there. Now, if you have an old golf club, you can just poke the stick in the end of the grip there. It'll make a little bit bigger hole in the top of your grip, but just using an old practice club is ideal for that. We're not hitting golf shots, we're just doing some dry runs, getting an idea of where that plane is. So a couple more and then I'm gonna hit a shot and see if I can recreate that feeling. So backswing's fine, downswing is where it's at. Trying to point that stick maybe slightly outside the golf ball. You can see that shaft is in a shallower position, not too steep here. A couple of practice swings. We're not following through because the stick's going to get in the way. All right for a chip or a pitch. There we go, see if we can get that shaft on plane. I quite like that. The other indicator here is have a look at your divot. You want your divots nice and flat. If you're getting steep in here, then you're going to get very high with the grip and the toe's going to dig in. That's a real good indicator that you're getting too steep on the shot. If you're digging the heel in, then you probably need to have a look at adjusting your clubs and getting the lie adjusted. So this section is for you technical geeks out there. Let's look at the different ways the tour pros shallow the shaft in the transition and the downswing. And there are many different ways to do it. Method number 1, to bow the lead wrist. Bending that wrist in the downswing or in the transition to shallow that shaft out. And that's become very popular with some recent winners like Jon Rahm, Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. Plenty of great players are bowing their lead wrist these days. So let's have a look at Brooks Koepka getting up into the backswing and see that transition, see how he really bows that lead wrist. Now this isn't for everybody because that really closes the club face. That club face pointing skyward in that transition, so the club face is very closed and it does take a good amount of strength and skill to control that club face in the downswing. But that's method number 1, bowing that wrist, and that shallows the shaft in that downswing. Method number 2 is the squat. This is used by Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods. Let's have a look at Tiger Woods right now. We're coming up into the transition and notice how he really drops his height, he really squats down, a lot of ground force energy to be generated that way, and that also shallows the shaft in the transition. As he squats down, that gets that shaft shallower and in a really good strong position there into the downswing. And then we have the helicopter swings. This is what we talked about last week. Players like Jim Furyk, Matthew Wolff and Bubba Watson. Let's have a look at Matthew Wolff's unique swing right now. Check out this takeaway, so far in front of him. Really the club goes up and up and up. The right elbow's really flying. And now the top of the backswing, the club is above his head. Now look at this. This transition is phenomenal. See how much he shallows it out. Now that's a really difficult thing to do and be consistent. That's a huge loop, probably the biggest I've ever seen in any golf swing. But it works for him. He manages to repeat it and he generates a lot of power with it as well. He gets that club in a great position in the downswing. And now to the final method that we're going to show by the Tour Pros. And for an example here, we're going to use Sergio Garcia. We're talking about the laid off position. Think Ricky Fowler, Trevor Immelman, but Sergio does it the best. Let's have a look at his golf swing. So normal takeaway, and then as he got to the top of the backswing, he lays the club off. So he's pointing the shaft left of the target, way left for a right-hander. And then he just turns through, drops that club into the slot, and you can see how shallow he gets. Sergio gets the shallowest in the shaft position of any downswing, and because he turns through so great, he just smashes it. Power to weight ratio above any other golfer on tour, really powerful swing, and a really shallow shaft. As you can see here, you can get as low as you like. It's the steep position that really costs you the power and the control. So as promised, we want to show you a drill that's going to help you to cut all of that out, to think less technically and just focus on the important aspect, which is getting that shaft in a good position. We're going to use an external focus of attention, and we're going to use a tour stick again to achieve that. Let's head to the range. This is the shallow plane drill. This tour stick is going to be in the backswing, and it's to encourage us to swing on a slightly shallower plane. And this is obviously for players who are swinging too upright, picking the club up or coming in too steeply, or the follow through might be too steep. So let's focus on the downswing to start with. And it's not a barrier, this is an incentive. What we're actually going to try to do here is actually clip the pool noodle into the downswing. So normal backswing in here, and then the encouragement is to try to clip it, and that's the incentive here. In reality, I'm not going to touch it, it's too far away, but the intention is there. I'm going to try to clip that pool noodle in the downswing. Just start with it slowly. So back normally, and then shallow that club and see if I can clip it. I can clip it just stopping here, but when I hit the golf ball, very unlikely. But I'll have a go. Nice and slowly. I can touch it here, but when I hit the ball, I doubt it. There you go, see I didn't touch it, but as you can see the club really fell into position, got shallower, and that's the whole idea. Now you must start slowly with this drill. If you swing at normal speed, then you're going to revert exactly back to what you were swinging before. So if you had a steep downswing, you're going to have another steep downswing. You've got to start really slowly, plenty of swings at that first gear, and then gradually get up to second gear, hitting those golf shots. You're only hitting the ball 20, 30 meters, and then it might go 40 meters. Really take your time with it, be patient, and you will see some results. You'll start to get that shaft into that shallower position. Only if you're patient. Tour sticks are great for drills using an external focus of attention, and we've got plenty more coming your way. We'd love to hear from you though. What part of the game are you struggling with? And we can come up with a drill using a tour stick and an external focus of attention to help you with that part of the game. Pop your messages below. And here are 3 to help you with your short game. 3 drills using the tour sticks, external focus of attention, and really sharpen up those shots around the greens. We look forward to seeing you next week. Are you the best golfer you can be?